Me and Emma had both been very busy. I'd just started a new job at a new school, and Emma hadn't had any time off for a long while. We decided we needed a holiday, and this was made all the more important as we had just got engaged and wanted to spend some quality time together as a couple. Looking on Canopy and Stars, we saw a small homestead in Somerset that looked just what we needed to get away from life in the suburbs of London. A few days later, we were on the road to Somerset in our little car, looking forward to being in the countryside together. On the way, we passed a little cider farm, and seeing as this was Somerset, which is well known for its scrumpy cider, we thought that it would be rude not to pop in. Perry Cider was a lovely little stop on the route to our accommodation, and we had a quick look round and picked up essentials, in the form of 4 litres of the good juice. Pretty soon we were back on the road and trundling towards our destination. This is Mellow View, a homestead smallholding near Winsham in Somerset. A property built by the lovely and very adventurous couple Ed and Vicky. Their build and transformation of an old cowshed into an off-grid mecca, family home and small farm has been well documented on the Channel 4 programme Grand Designs, appearing not once, not twice, but 3 times. We were to be staying in Ed's little cabin called the Gardener's Shed, built by him to be an eco off-grid cabin for like-minded people to rent out for a stay on Canopy and Stars. Ed is a professional chef and likes to rear and butcher his own animals, and together they grow produce in their garden for supper clubs and cooking lessons. As well as a beautiful view over the neighbouring valley, an excellent kitchen garden and an aesthetic countryside-inspired building, the family keep chickens, sheep, pigs, geese and other animals. This truly was the picture of me and Emma's dream life, and is the sort of thing that we are personally aspiring to create for ourselves in the future. It was inspiring to see others who have been able to make this lifestyle a reality, and it gave us hope for our own dreams of a sustainable off-grid life. The cabin itself, while small and simple, was absolutely gorgeous and showed how appealing a simple dwelling can be. This was quite simply the perfect place for us to stay in Somerset. Meet Bumble. Bumble is the farm dog, and she is so lovely and friendly. When she met us, she simply would not leave our side and made regular appearances at our door. She did make quite the impression on us during our short stay, and we're both dog lovers, so we're very happy to have the company.
Hey!
After spending an afternoon around the animals at Mellow View and having a little afternoon nap, I poured myself a jug of cider and broke out my pipe. Rubbing the tobacco, I sat on the porch drinking in the surrounding views, the noises of the small holding and of the countryside around it. I was at peace and felt all the stress of daily life lift from my shoulders. Slow living, the good life. These expressions capture our deep longing for a connection with the world around us, a deep burning desire to live a more simple, rustic, more rewarding life. At that moment, pipe smouldering in my hands, surrounded by countryside with my beautiful fiancée nearby, I felt true contentment. This is the life. Seeing as this was a holiday and a celebration of our engagement, we headed to a nearby pub for some fancy food. I had pigeon to start, followed by duck. It was delicious. After our meal, we headed back to the cosy cabin to light the wood burner and spend the night playing games, chatting, and just enjoying each other's company. Seeing as we had picked up some local cheese on the way back from the pub, I decided that a second meal was in order. We laid out a spread of local produce and tucked into the cheese board, chased it down with some peaty goodness in the form of some Lafroig whiskey, one of my favourite drinks. Emma saw fit to challenge me to an old-fashioned game of pick-a-sticks, a game which she always wins. Today was no different, and after a few rounds I had to concede defeat. Eventually we headed off to bed, our minds full of the day we had just had, and the sound of the wood burner was crackling away as we drifted off to sleep.
There you go, yes.
Who's a good dog? Who's a good dog? You're a good dog, aren't you? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You want to kiss my face? After a hearty breakfast and many cuddles with the dog, we headed to a local National Trust property called Ford Abbey.
Ford Abbey is a former Cistercian monastery located in Chard, Dorset. Founded in the 12th century, this religious building was subsequently dissolved by Henry VIII during his break from Rome and formation of the Church of England in 1539. The land and buildings were leased to private landlords, but it was abandoned and its stones stolen. In 1649, it was purchased and transformed into a private home by Edmund Prideaux. After much turbulent history and many influential subsequent owners, most notably the Gwynns, the building has continued to be a privately owned house, with the Ropers moving in during the early 20th century. The house has now become a historic site open for the public to visit. We toured the house, which was fascinating, however were keen to explore the widely celebrated grounds, including a stocked kitchen garden. Seeing this invoked severe garden envy with me. The property also had a large lake surrounded by planted borders, a bog garden and an arboretum. It is also home to the highest water feature in the UK. Mind blown. And who said a history degree wasn't useful?
For a while we sat by the lake underneath a beautiful red oak dressed in its autumnal colours, watching the birds and reading about the history of the monastery. Once we had walked the grounds and gathered as many tips as we could from the gardens, we headed to the cafe for lunch. A bit of homemade chocolate cake gave us the energy needed to head back to the car and start back towards the cabin. Rain came hammering down the second we got back inside, but we were dry and warm with contentment. We hung up our coats and our hats, and a single match struck soon got the wood burner roaring, and the cabin became the envy of all the damp sheep outside. The quiet crackle of wood burning, the glow filling the cabin, it was a picture of coziness. We got ourselves a brew on and settled down to watch the weather lashing ineffectively against the windows of our cabin. After an hour, the skies cleared, the rain stopped, and the sun dared to make an appearance. I grabbed my long churchwarden pipe and headed for the door. Visions of Bilbo Baggins sitting outside his hobbit hole ran through my head as flame touched leaf and smoke started to curl through the air slowly and wistfully. It was a perfect place to sit and watch the world. And as the sun slowly set, I was transported to other realms. It was inevitable that Bumble would notice any extended periods of time sat outside on the porch. And, sure enough, it wasn't long before I was joined by a terrier enthusiastically wagging its tail. With views like these, I wanted to spend as much time as I could studying every curve of the valley, every distant field and tree, every ray of light descending over the horizon. I only returned inside when I was left without any light and very much in need of the wood burner to put warmth back into my limbs. It was a majestic afternoon, sat out there by the cabin, listening to Emma playing with the dog and watching the world go by. I can recommend it to everybody to try and slow down like this. When night did finally arrive, I set to work cooking dinner. A full dirty burger stack, a meal of champions, loads of meat, dripping with sauce, salad, just delicious. Fed and revived and running on glorious red meat, I attempted to get even on the game front, hoping to beat Emma at cards and draw level on the game scoreboard. However, contract whist is a vengeful game, and it turned out that, once again, luck was not on my side. After a clear and decisive victory for Emma, we settled in to watch the glow of the wood burner. A lazy morning of coffee and cooked breakfasts was followed up by an intense 13-kilometre hike around the surrounding countryside. The farms, forests and fields were idyllic and so pastoral that it was as if they had come from another time. Hill after hill mercilessly climbed, burned room for more food, and awakened a fierce appetite within us both, me especially. Luckily, in the countryside of Great Britain, you're never too far away from a pub. We made a beeline for the nearest one, and a huge slice of pie later, our hunger was gone, replaced by that feeling of sleepy contentment that you get after a good meal. This was to be our last night in the cabin, and after a day hiking around the area, we couldn't wait to sit by the wood stove, drink some lovely wine and play more old school games. This stay was a complete break from noise and the fast nature of modern life. It was the perfect getaway, and one which has further solidified our desire to work towards a simpler, more natural life. The small holding has literally lit a fire within us, and we can only dream that one day we will have something very similar to call our own. I'd like to say a huge thank you to Mellow, to Ed, Vicky and Bumble for their hospitality, and a big thank you to everyone who has watched this video. I know it is very different to my normal content, and I appreciate all of you who have stuck with this video. Cheers, and I'll see you in the next one.